We've talked a little bit about flow and question types for what to avoid when writing questions. Now I want to talk a little bit about visual design and how certain visual elements will influence the consumers and your respondents. So we want to focus on 3 visual design elements: words, numbers, and graphics. Words are going to be your most powerful source of meaning that draws the customers in when answering questions. So choose your words carefully. Make sure you use words consistently and that you're concise and clear with the words you use. You should number your questions sequentially throughout the survey, and you should tell people at the beginning of the survey how many questions they need to answer. This lets them see their progress as they continue to take the survey and will kind of feel little bits of accomplishment as they get closer to the end. In terms of graphics, you need to think about ways to use text boxes to write in answers. Use square boxes for when you have check all the apply answer choices. Use circles for people to bubble in when they have only one answer choice. Then logos and images. At the top of your survey, the client's logo, such as John Deere, My Blue Boy, Massey Ferguson, Ellis Equipment, IFA, whoever you represent for your Ready, Set, Sell project, that logo should be at the top of the survey. It will give legitimacy to the survey by letting them see the company that is asking them to answer. We have 4 visual design properties I want to break down. The size of the font that you use influences whether they stand out visually. So usually larger size fonts for headings, those will stand out visually compared to the question stem and answer choices. Your question stem and answer choice can be a bit smaller. So with font, it's important to know that your audience, in order to determine the optimal font size for legibility. And a real good rule of thumb is to start with 12-point size font, and then you adjust it based on the needs of your audience. So we might need larger font for aging populations or for reading on our mobile devices if we're doing our surveys online. This font size is also a good baseline for text within the survey, such as the question stem you asked. So just use larger or smaller sizes for the headings, responses, and other information on the page. I also want you to consider using different styles like italics or bold to create a visual hierarchy and contrast between the elements that help guide the participants. For example, I would use a bold-faced, larger font for headings. For the question stems, I would also use bold-faced font at 12-point font type, but then not do boldface for the answer choices. Then you need to design the survey consistently using that same style throughout the document. A simple way to use this technique is just to maybe even italicize the instructions in order to separate them from the question prompts, so you can show, here's the instruction, here's the question, this is how I want you to be able to answer it, and you understand it better. Your third deals with brightness, contrast, and color. Changes in shading and color can influence whether things stand out from the background. And so think about your color choices. You're on a white computer screen, a white sheet of paper. You're probably not going to want to use red fonts, yellow fonts. You might think about dark blues, dark blacks, greens, colors that would show easily on a screen or on paper. Spacing is really important. I want you to think about grouping similar questions together or in the same area of the survey. This really can help with creating subgroups of similar topics. I want the spacing and alignment also lets people see if something is related or unrelated in the survey. And we don't really want to have a lot of clutter. So you want to use white space between sections to let people see if something is new or separate. I also want you to ask only one question per line in a document so that you can easily read it, see what's being asked, and then answer those questions because you see the answer choices for it.